It's Wednesday, January 27th, and this is now on H&N.
You know, just a kaumaha day. The pu'uwai is very, very hurt today.
Local lawmakers and colleagues remember Billy Kenoi and his passion for public service.
Billy was Mr. Aloha.
New today, the state will open its pre-travel testing program to visitors from Korea.
A vaccine war is brewing in Europe. I'm Ian Lee with the scramble for doses amid the pandemic.
These stories plus a new U.S. terrorism alert warns of politically motivated violence. Those developing details are coming up on This Is Now.
I'm really happy to see, we're now over 110,000 people we're vaccinating, and the federal government's going to increase vaccinations by 16%. So that should get us there that much faster. So knock wood, we're going to get through this pretty quickly.
That's Lieutenant Governor Josh Green giving our Allison Blair an update in an interview just recorded moments ago. In regards to the state's vaccination efforts, as we learned, there's been 103 new cases reported from the State Department of Health. Our H&N digital team is looking at those numbers. We're publishing them right now on our H&N digital platforms. But for now, let's go ahead and get to our other top stories, Mahea.
That's right. Hawaii is continuing to remember Billy Kenoi, former Hawaii County mayor who died yesterday after a lengthy battle with cancer. Chelsea Davis takes a look back at his life and legacy.
He was best known for his one-of-a-kind local boy leadership style. He was authentic and sometimes brash, and had a rare talent for connecting with people.
I said a prayer for him tonight. God, take care of Billy, and be prepared to be entertained.
By the way, that introduction was longer than my speech, but sorry. No. Just kidding, bro. Like, whoa.
Billy Kenoi back in his prime in 2014 as the commencement speaker, inspiring Hawaii Pacific University graduates.
Any obstacle, hurdle, or barrier is just meant to go over, around, or through.
Those who knew him say he was relatable and admirable.
Not only because he was our mayor, but the road that he traveled to get there. There was a lot of, trials and tribulations. He's been in Kalapana. He was a local boy. He worked hard. He went to college. He hitchhiked from Pahoa all the way to UH Hilo. Then he went to college in the mainland.
Kenoi graduated from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst with a degree in political science, then UH Law School. He became a deputy public defender, then executive assistant to then Hawaii County Mayor Harry Kim, who was also Kenoi's former football coach.
He was a captain for my defensive team at Waikiki High School. He just an all-out leader, and energies of positiveness and all of that. Words were, love you, coach. And I repeated, love you, Billy.
At age 39, Kenoi became Hawaii County's youngest mayor. He served for 2 terms, ending in 2016.
He was smart. He knew what he had to do. He was very articulate. He could pull out bills and whatever else kinds of stuff, and he had it.
There's so much of Billy Kenoi that will live on throughout the county of Hawaii. There's not a baseball park or a shower at an ocean park or facility that doesn't have his name on it.
Kenoi was so beloved he thought he would run for governor someday, but in 2016, he was indicted for spending violations with a county-issued purchasing card. He was acquitted of theft. But soon after, Kenoi's cancer accelerated and his health diminished. He underwent extensive chemotherapy, a bone marrow transplant, and many blood transfusions. He died today at home with his family by his side. Tonight, an outpouring of love and aloha from leaders across the country, both past and present.
In this challenge that we're all facing, The one thing that I'm certain of is that we all are going to get through it.
Kenoi leaves behind his wife and 3 children. Details on his memorial services are pending. Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
Fellow Big Island boy and now Congressman Kahele joined us on Sunrise this morning to share his memories of Kenoi.
Aloha, Billy, and aloha, Hawaii. Mahalo for having me on.
A nice shirt. I noticed you pulled that out for this morning.
I had to. About a year ago, a bunch of friends of ours who played on a basketball tournament when Billy was going through, fighting for his life. We made shirts for him. We played in a tournament for him here in Hilo. And I had to pull it out this morning, to remember Billy Kenoi.
When you were getting ready to go ahead and run for office, did you look up to Mayor Kenoi at the time and to the job he was doing and how he presented himself? How did he seem to you?
For my generation, Billy Kenoi was larger than life. He was a prodigy. There are certain people that come along in our lifetimes that have the charisma, the personality, the life story, the energy, the passion, and the ability to deliver an inspirational message. And that was Billy Kenoi. That what you're showing right now was classic, vintage Billy Kenoi. And he was such an inspiration for so many of us who lives were touched by Billy. So many of us have text messages from Billy. I was just reviewing one that I got from him on Friday. He was just such a special individual, once in a lifetime type of person. You mentioned him being governor one day. He could have been a United States senator one day. He had the political genius and was a rising star in Hawaii politics. And he will be remembered as somebody who touched so many lives throughout Hawaii, who touched the lives of so many here on Hawaii Island. He's going to be deeply missed. He was a personal friend of mine. My heart goes out to Takako and Mahina and Justin and Liam and their family for their loss. It's never easy when something like this happens. And, it's a sad day for Hawaii. Very, very sad.
We've got about 30 seconds remaining. What was your last conversation with him like?
On Friday, he was so excited for the possibility of his son, Justin, to possibly come to Washington, D.C. in the summer and be a congressional intern in my office. And I'm looking at his text right now that he sent to me on Friday, how excited he was to see, Justin in a suit and tie, that he may have to come up and visit. He was a congressional intern for Senator Inouye. And so that's something that he was really looking forward to. I'd like to end on this one note. His viral commencement speech for HBU is what he's really known for. But the best speech I've ever seen Billy Kenoi do was to the 2006 Ahakane convention. And if you get a chance, go and watch that. You mentioned his middle name, Billy, when you opened this segment. He talks about that, and it's vintage Billy Kenoi. So, it's just a kaumaha day. The pu'uwai is very, very hurt today. So, mahalo.
Mahalo for spending time with us, Representative Congressman Kahele from Hilo. And brother, thank you so much. Mahalo.
And I look forward, Billy, I'm going to honor Billy Kenoi on the floor of the United States House of Representatives next week when I go back to Washington, D.C. So I look forward to sharing with my colleagues and the nation who Billy Kenoi was, even for a little bit of time.
This just in today, visitors from Korea with a negative COVID-19 test will soon be allowed to bypass the 10-day traveler quarantine under the state's expanded pre-travel testing program. The state announced just hours ago that the program would apply to visitors coming from Korea starting February 5th. Korea is the latest international destination to be added to the program, following Japan and Canada. Now, for a complete list of those trusted testing partners in Korea, you're going to want to head to H&N's digital platforms. We've published them there.
The competition to secure COVID vaccines is creating conflict overseas as some countries are threatening to hold doses for themselves. Ian Lee from CBS has the latest.
Tensions are high across Europe as COVID-19 keeps spreading. Riots swept across the Netherlands this week, with protesters venting anger over a nighttime curfew to tackle soaring cases. The scramble for vaccinations has never been more critical.
The European Union will take any action required to protect its citizens and rights.
The European Union is now threatening to cut off exports of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine manufactured in Belgium. The retaliation comes after British-based AstraZeneca admitted shipments of their vaccine to the EU would be short 50 million doses. This vaccine battle comes as the United Kingdom passes a grim milestone. More than 100,000 COVID deaths, the most in Europe.
I am deeply sorry for every life that has been lost.
The UK has vaccinated nearly 7 million people, leading the rest of Europe. But it's also fighting a variant of the virus that may be even more deadly. South Africa's president is accusing rich countries of bulk buying vaccines and hoarding them, leaving poor countries vulnerable.
We are saying release the excess vaccines that you have ordered and hoarded.
But with rising COVID cases and vaccine shortages across Europe, no one seems willing to back down. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Restarting organized youth sports is a big talker at the City Council today. A measure calls for setting up a stakeholders group to recommend new metrics that would get kids back on the field and courts. Organized youth sports are currently not allowed until Tier 4 of the city's tier system. So that means the city would have to average fewer than 20 cases a day. Right now, we're in Tier 2. Oahu is currently averaging about 80 daily infections. Developing in D.C. right now, the Senate continues to prepare for the second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump. Deborah Alfarone has the very latest from Washington.
Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy returned to the Senate Wednesday after going to a Washington, D.C. hospital Tuesday evening for observation.
Will all senators now rise and raise their right hand?
The 80-year-old Democrat sought medical attention hours after administering the oath to his fellow senators in former President Trump's impeachment trial. Leahy will preside over the trial, which Kentucky Senator Rand Paul tried to have dismissed on constitutional grounds.
This proceeding, which would try a private citizen and not a president, a vice president, or civil officer, violates the Constitution.
The effort failed, but only 5 Republicans sided with the Democrats. 17 Republicans would need to join with Democrats to convict the former president of inciting the deadly assault on the Capitol. South Carolina attorney Butch Bowers will represent Mr. Trump. In an interview with the Washington Post, Bowers would not say if the former president will appear at the trial or if he will call witnesses. He told the paper, "You'll see our case when we present it, and I think the facts and the law will speak for themselves."
As investigators continue to look into the events of January 6th, acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman apologized to lawmakers, saying the department knew that militia groups and white supremacists, possibly armed, would be coming to D.C. January 6th.
Pittman acknowledged the department failed and should have been more prepared for the attack. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
New today, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a national terrorism bulletin warning of the potential for lingering violence from people motivated by anti-government sentiment after President Joe Biden's election. The department isn't citing a specific threat, but DHS points to a heightened threat environment across the United States that it believes will persist in the week since Biden took office. DHS says it consulted with law enforcement and intelligence agencies before issuing the alert about the potential for homegrown violent extremism. With the warning, the Biden administration is effectively stepping into the politically charged debate over how to describe or characterize acts motivated by political ideology. Meanwhile, the Hawaii Proud Boy founder charged in the Capitol riot hires a new lawyer. Lacey Denise reports.
Hawaii Proud Boys founder Nick Oakes now has a DC-based lawyer to represent him. He hired Edward McMahon, who previously defended people charged in the Iran-Contra scandal and the September 11th attacks. Oakes was arrested after the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. His preliminary hearing is scheduled to begin next week. Meantime, FBI agents in Texas arrested Nicholas DiCarlo yesterday. He's a man seen in photos with Oakes at the Capitol building. He was wearing a shirt that said, "Murder the Media." For This Is Now, I'm Lacey Denise.
Here's some new information to pass along. The number of people flying on commercial airlines has hit a 6-month low, with less than 500,000 passengers screened at U.S. airports on Tuesday. The TSA reports just under 469,000 people were screened at its checkpoints. That figure hasn't dipped below 500,000 since July 4th. With more aviation news, let's turn to Howard Dykes.
After losing $163 million in the Christmas quarter, Hawaiian thinks this quarter will be a little brighter. Revenue down 50%, but that's better than 79% down. Hawaiian invested in pre-testing after the Trump administration wouldn't do it, and it hopes that will help. Kauai officials have succeeded in cutting visitor traffic to just a handful per day. Since rolling out the tracking bracelet program, Kauai has seen American Airlines cut Kauai flights a third, and Southwest now has no nonstops at all to the Garden Island until June at the earliest. Cruise News, Carnival backs out of plans to return to San Diego, and that in turn means canceling its voyages to Hawaii.
The pandemic has hit the movie industry and theaters hard, but now Washington is sending money to help keep the marquees on. Elise Preston reports.
Movie theaters have sat mostly empty for nearly a year. The pandemic first led to shutdowns. Many, like Santikos Entertainment in Texas, were able to open, but the big blockbusters didn't return.
Over 80% of the movies that were supposed to be shown this year have been delayed. Some of those have gone direct to streaming.
Theaters have tried to attract customers. In the Philippines, moviegoers can see a show on a social distance gondola. Smaller U.S. operations are finding some success playing older popular movies. And places like AMC will let you rent your own theater for as little as $99.
Still, revenue for the industry dropped 80% in 2020, leaving many theaters, big and small, on the brink of bankruptcy. But now, some financial help is on the way.
AMC Theaters recently raised hundreds of millions of dollars in financing on its own to stay afloat. Smaller companies are getting stimulus aid from Washington.
It's going to be a real lifeline for, thousands of businesses across the country.
Patrick Corcoran is with the National Association of Theater Owners that helped successfully lobby Congress for $15 billion in grant money. Businesses that qualify can use it to pay employees, rent, utilities, and vendors.
This will certainly get most companies well into the spring, possibly later.
After that, it's hoped widespread vaccinations will help flip the script.
We hope it rolls out faster and gets more widespread and we can get back to business as usual.
And that would give movie theaters a shot at a Hollywood ending. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
So here locally, some of our theaters are also doing some things to keep the lights on. You were just telling me about one downtown.
Yeah, that's right. The Hawaii Theater. Well, Jonathan, have you ever wanted your name in lights?
Yes,
There
please.
you go.
Yeah.
Support the arts. So, theaters can't have in-person performances right now with hundreds of people. So, as a fundraiser for their historic marquee for $150, you can congratulate someone, you can celebrate something, and put whatever you want in the marquee. So having it in lights. Now, they're not doing anything commercial, nothing political, but it's a really cool way to raise money for the restoration of that marquee. They're trying to raise about $100,000, and I think they're about halfway to their goal.
Go them. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Let's take you outside right now. There's a live look from downtown. Here's Guy Hoggy with a check of your weather.
Aloha. On this Wednesday, that stormy disturbance responsible for the flooding is weakening and it's pulling away to the west. So we'll have drier conditions today, still a little cloudy, and there's a little damp for a handful of windward spots with a few light showers. And those trade winds will be running swift today, getting even stronger by tomorrow. And that means humidity levels won't be an issue. Air quality won't be an issue except for parts of the Big Island where fog will be hanging around. Otherwise, we're in for a pretty nice day. Drier conditions due in tomorrow, although those winds are going to be a little bit stronger. Now, the surf's still elevated for the east side. That's where a high surf advisory is posted. It's choppy, it's rough, not all that good. We have some pretty decent conditions in town for that little bit of a South Shore boost, and we're expecting north and west shores to pick up by Friday. So again, we're going to see drier conditions by tomorrow with stronger winds. A weak front's coming in on Friday with a few more scattered showers into the early part of next week. And then by Tuesday, we could see a more vigorous front with more rain. So stay tuned. We'll have more details coming up on air and online.
All right, the internet is talking about a lot of things today, and here's something that I found. Everyone knows I love me some Star Wars, so check this out. The U.S. Postal Service is releasing some out-of-this-world forever stamps this spring. They will offer stamps that feature 10 droids from Star Wars. Those droids never get enough love, so I'm glad they're doing this. There's no exact date of when they will be released, but you just have to keep track of them and look for them coming this spring.
That's going to be really popular.
Yeah, I think so.
And speaking of popular, hey, peanut butter could be getting more crispity crunchy. Earlier this week, Butterfinger teased a potential new product on its social media, its own peanut butter. The candy brand posted a picture of the possible product on Twitter Sunday morning in a tag on the top corner that said, new. According to the mock-up of the potential new peanut butter, the spread could be crispity crunchy, just like the candy bar. Under the photo of the peanut butter, the company noted that the product could be available maybe sometime in the future. It's unclear whether Butterfinger actually intends to release its own peanut butter or if the tweets were a joke for National Peanut Butter Day, which was on Sunday.
I think there's enough hype behind it now that they gotta do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't tease us like that, please.
They're testing the market with the tease.
Yep. Well, you guys, it's been over a year since the passing of Kobe Bryant, and now a local artist is doing something really special to honor him. Jim Mendoza has that story.
I'm painting this mural because it's about Kobe. You know, it's Kobe, baby.
Oahu street artist Terrell Porter is in Los Angeles, painting a huge Kobe Bryant tribute mural. He calls it Mamba business.
I want the mural to really capture and project out this energy of family and Mamba mentality.
The mural spans 3 large walls on South Broadway and Venice Boulevard. Terrell's halfway through, and he's experiencing how much the city loves Kobe Bryant.
And some people that come up to me in tears, and some of them, you know, they're just thanking me.
He's like my hero. He's one of the main people I've looked up to growing up.
Artists worldwide have painted pieces honoring Kobe. You see them on KobeMural.com. The website's founder says Terrell's painting is different.
Dedicated to the entire Bryant family, and it includes images of the family that I haven't seen anyone else do, which is really cool from him.
Terrell was commissioned to do the Kobe art through the website Beautify Earth. This is his first trip to L.A.
I really wanted to paint out here. There's so many talented artists out here.
We first met Terrell in 2019 when he painted a big mural in Kaka'ako. The Kobe Project is teaching him new techniques.
The whole study of Kobe Bryant has really pushed me to, become the better version of myself.
Terrell says Kobe was one of his favorite players. He believes he was meant to paint the mural, and this butterfly that landed on his airbrush was a sign.
My friend gives me a magazine. I look at the back of the magazine, and Kobe Bryant has a butterfly tattoos on his shoulder, on his right shoulder.
Terrell started his Mamba business mural in mid-October.
Please come by some more and check out the mural. Thanks for having me, LA.
His work of art will be finished in February. Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
So Terrell there was also featured in Jim Mendoza's podcast on H&N's podcast. It's called Tell Me a Story. You can search it anywhere you find your podcast. Jim does a great job with that. That's going to do